We are NBI Financial Group, well, not anymore, and I have decided to merge our companies.
This is a very, very kind of revolutionary concept to bring to the market. We're bringing mortgage, real estate, homeownership services, all of that together under one agentic AI platform. And there are a couple of really important themes here. We put together this pretty awesome team. I mean, we've got people from companies like, Microsoft or an eBay or an Amazon, because we want that DNA to create this AI platform, who built a really advanced progressive model for mortgage, including concepts such as close within 15 days, concepts such as upfront underwriting. So all of this is to make the industry more efficient for consumers and for partners.
So we have somebody by the name of John Berg. He came here from Movement Mortgage. Movement Mortgage is a huge name down here in the Southeast. He tripled his production within 45 days. One of the things that we saw was at 65, somebody who owns a home versus who doesn't has 70% higher net worth than the person who doesn't own a home here in America. Hey everyone, what's up? Nick Campo here. We are NBI Financial Group. Well, not anymore, but this is still the Mortgage Guys podcast. This is Doran.
Hey, Nick.
And I have decided to merge our companies. And I wanted to bring everyone on here because this is a big announcement, not just for NBI Financial Group, but for the mortgage industry, but not really the mortgage industry, homeownership industry, homeownership marketplace. And we're going to dive into the reason behind the merger, what this means for us here at NBI, which is now Finaya Home Loans, and what it means for loan officers who are executive mortgage advisors here, what it means for real estate agents that work with us, what it means to our consumer. And we just want to dive in. This is going to be our big announcement that we're joining companies. And I'll let you start. Introduce yourself.
Sounds good, Nick. Hey, everyone. Good to be talking to you all. So, Doran Nath. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Finaya. And Finaya, the name itself, means an invocation to come together for personal finance. So that's really why we created this. And we're in the homeownership industry, as Nick mentioned. And the homeownership industry, which is one of the most impactful industries that affects everybody's day-to-day living, has significant challenges. So when we say homeownership, we mean real estate, mortgage, title, closing, insurance, remodel, repair. And when I say any of those words, what's the first sentiment that comes to mind is excitement and yet anxiety, because these are huge purchases. These are very impactful decisions. And yet, most consumers are kind of off on their own, having to deal with lots of fragmented processes, lots of redundant data requests, lots of documents to be uploaded, lots of information that they don't necessarily have that they need to provide. And it's a very, very fragmented, disjointed experience. The Net Promoter Score, which is a measure of how good the experience is for mortgage, for example, in the industry overall, is 16, which is one of the lowest that's out there. So I think that's kind of the space that we've been looking at. And what's really exciting about this merger that we're announcing today with Nick is that we're bringing mortgage, real estate, homeownership services, all of that together under one agentic AI platform. And there are a couple of really important themes here. One is we are being more customer-centric and more customer empathetic than anything else that's out there in the market. And the idea there is we want to have a lifelong relationship and lifelong value with customers. We don't want to make everything that we do a transaction. We don't want to be episodic. We want to be there at every stage of a homeowner's journey. So this could begin well before you become a homeowner. Maybe you're just planning to become a homeowner. You need financial advice. You need to figure out how do I get ready for it. And then you get into, when you're buying a home, you're not like real estate and mortgage and title are not separate transactions. They're all linked. So there's a need to bring those things together, and that's what we're doing with our platform. And then once you become a homeowner, on average now for 13 years, you're going to live in your home. And so instead of getting your home and then moving out, we now have a plan to kind of stay with you, provide value like your home value, your property conditions, like repairs, remodel, etc. And then when you're ready to refinance or sell your home, it's a one button you can sell your home because we already have all the information about you. So that's kind of the vision. And what is really exciting about getting together with Nick and his team, who built a really advanced, progressive model for mortgage, including concepts such as close within 15 days, concepts such as upfront underwriting, which Nick can talk about a lot more. So all of this is to make the industry more efficient for consumers and for partners. So like, obviously, mortgage professionals, mortgage advisors, but also real estate partners. So all of this amounts to us providing real estate partners with customers who've already been pre-approved, who are ready, who've been pre-qualified at some level, who are ready to transact. It's also the ability to bring customers to contractors or homeownership service providers that can then service their needs, ongoing homeownership needs, until it's time for their next transaction. So overall, this is a very, very kind of revolutionary concept to bring to the market. And one thing that we're doing is we're using agentic AI natively to enable these different journeys, these different workflows, make it pleasant and efficient for consumers, as well as for industry professionals to engage with these consumers. So unlike other providers who've been around being in a siloed mode for many, many years, we get to do this natively, which is really the most powerful way to leverage AI to make friction reduced and satisfaction increased for all participants. So very excited to be doing this together with you.
I'm excited as well.
Yeah.
So, to kind of touch on, you talked a little bit about, hey, this is what we're doing, why we're doing it. For me, we were already in, everybody who's watched this podcast in the past, which is hopefully a lot of people, we've gotten some pretty good views. They understand that when we created this, it was how do we help the person going to purchase a home, and then how do we help people build wealth in real estate, because it's such a big financial transaction. But the other piece to it from like a loan officer perspective, or we call our loan officers executive mortgage advisors, and I'll get into a little bit of the why behind that, was in the mortgage section of homeownership industry, right? There has been a very bad job done, in my opinion, by maybe most of, maybe there's one or two or three companies that do a good job of onboarding, training, and the support system for a sales team. So if you're looking at the loan officer, which we call an executive mortgage advisor, and you're saying to yourself, okay, what can make them successful? Well, the first things first, I said, okay, well, we need to make sure that the onboarding, the training, the how do I become a top producer? We need to make this a sales-centric company. So prior to us meeting, which this, and I want everybody else to recognize, is the first thing we did is, okay, what are the tasks that a loan officer has to perform on a day-to-day basis that is not a direct revenue, business development, market development, driving task? Okay, so most mortgage companies are set up where an application comes in, and it's the loan officer who a lot of times is either on the phone or they send their application link out. It gets completed. It comes in. Now it's their responsibility to make sure that credit gets pulled. It's their responsibility to make sure that income docs are collected. It's their responsibility to do income calculations. So when we started NBI, my question was why? Because if you look at top producers in the industry, they have somebody doing that for them. So I had the concept of, hey, let's create a sales-centric company here at NBI. And what that means is let's go get the best of the best solution underwriters, which we call Analyst One. And we have, Timothy Doran, shout out to him, Ben Eubanks, Ben Singleton. And what they do is the docs come in, or the application comes in, that's all the loan officer has to. They don't have to do the income calculation. They don't have to do doc collection unless we're having an issue getting docs and we need an extra touch. But we took away all the admin stuff from them up front. Why have a loan officer whose job is to go get more business and to service the client and make sure there's a great communication and experience? Why are we going to have them doing income calculations when that's not what they're good at? Right. That's what the underwriter's good at, right? So let's go get the best of the best to do that. The next thing I said is, okay, well, as that started to develop, and we've saw like our loan officers come here, I think we've talked about this a little bit. Within 90 days, they're tripling their production. So we have somebody by the name of John Burke. He came here from Movement Mortgage. Movement Mortgage is a huge name down here in the Southeast. He tripled his production within 45 days. He was thinking about leaving the industry at one point. And then you come to find out that the trainings were, okay, yeah, we'll do training at his previous company. We'll do training with you, but you got to pay for it. Like they're making their loan officers pay for training when that training will get them better and drive more business to them. Didn't make sense. How do we make sure that you are great at your job, that you can capitalize on our products that we have, which we have the most in the industry, being in the broker setup and soon to be mini correspondent, and we'll have every product in the entire industry, right? So we can service more people. So he triples his production. Perfect example of that. So first things first is let's get them training. Let's get them on. Let's make sure they have the resources to triple, quadruple their production immediately. And every loan officer who started with us, even the unlicensed ones, have funded a loan within their first 30 days. So that was a big piece to us, is being sales centric. And then as you start to look at it and they start to have that success like John Burke did, great loan officers are the CEOs of their community. So mortgage is still a community-based thing. So we want our loan officers in their community. They have their own territories. They're not having to fight with other people within their within a territory. Like if you look at Charlotte, we have different sections of Charlotte. That's a territory. Now, if you have those relationships and such, you keep your relationships, but you're not having to fight for the same accounts like a lot of mortgage companies around here, which is a big mortgage hub here. They're fighting their own loan officers and competing with their own loan officers for the same business. It doesn't seem like a great growth model. We want our people to come here and be top producers or have the opportunity to increase their production. So, then the next thing we looked at, if you're the center of your community, right? And the top producing loan officers in the industry have this, you have a group of preferred insurance agents, you have a group of preferred inspectors, you have a group of, just the different homeownership services piece. So as we started thinking of that, what is that? That's a marketplace, right? So somebody comes to you, and if you're great at what you do, you have your marketplace of people. So then that concept, got me thinking. I'm like, okay, well, what are some marketplaces? How can we make this a thing to where our consumer, from a consumer experience standpoint, only has to go to one place and they can get everything done, right? Well, we need an online marketplace. How do we do that? So we actually had started, we were in the process of going from an LLC to a corporation when you and I met. And we had started with the concept of the only way to create the greatest consumer experience when it comes to homeownership, because if you look at, and like you mentioned this earlier, if you look at what people think about a mortgage, they hated it. They would rather get a root canal than get a mortgage. I understand that. So we are working to create the greatest consumer experience from a homeowner standpoint, which includes mortgage. Well, you can't do that unless you underwrite up front, which we were already doing, and we were already using Candor Technologies, and we were doing the AI underwrite up front, TBD underwrites, which we had a 100% pull-through rate. We never lost a deal because of underwriting. So that protects the consumer from an experience standpoint, because guess what? They're not paying $500 for an inspection. They're not having to pay for appraisal. Then it goes to underwriting, and then they lose the deal. We know that they're qualified up front. Right. So from an experience standpoint, 100% of the time, you were qualified when we issued that pre-approval on your purchase. You were qualified when we started the refinance process, because we didn't do it on just purchases. We did it across the board. So, okay, so from a consumer standpoint, now what do we do to make it less manual, right? Because mortgage is very, very manual. I tell people it's like living in the 70s technology-wise. Like, okay, so how do we bring the marketplace to them? And then you start thinking about who's your customer, right? Well, it's not just the consumer. Right. It's also the real estate agent that refers you the business. It's also the homeowner's insurance agent. It's also, the person that you referred for your client to get, deck repaired or whatnot, right? So how do we make that experience great for all parties involved, especially the homeowner? Well, we were going to have an online platform, and there's going to have to be partner portals and so on and so forth. And we had started going down the path of a capital raise, and then we got introduced to each other, and your vision and our vision aligned, and you already had the tech side of it, right? So we had the generative AI, working on agentic AI. We're working on, how do we support the loan officer? How do we support the realtor? How does a realtor log on to our app and is able to pick up a lead right then that is already underwritten, TBD qualified, and just wants to view the house and could potentially be clear to close in a week, right? And when we had that conversation that came together, it made sense to me to like, hey, let's merge these companies and let's do something special for all parties involved.
I think that's a great way to put more context around that, Nick, around like the mortgage side of that and how it grows into all of it, right? The holistic experience. I think you talked about how it's pretty typical for, a typical mortgage company to say, well, you bring in a loan officer and say you're kind of on your own, like, you hang your license, you can do your thing. I think the fact that you put the support infrastructure around that in terms of the coaching and the training to transform somebody's productivity 3 times, 4 times in a matter of 90 days, that's pretty remarkable. And you're doing that not just in terms of the coaching and the training, but the upfront underwriting. Like there's actual innovation there that makes it better for the consumer as well as for the loan officer as well as for the lender.
Right.
So I think that's a great foundation for us to kind of then amplify and magnify with our technology. And I think before we met, we'd put together this pretty awesome team. I mean, we've got people from companies like, Microsoft or an eBay or an Amazon, because we want that DNA to create this AI platform. And I think the reason why the fit was so perfect was because everything you were doing to enable, your loan officers, you're kind of bringing in, et cetera, can be amplified further with AI. So as an example, the customer can fill out loan applications through an AI conversation. So they can still do the traditional thing. They can fill out a form, but a lot of consumers have a lot of anxiety. I mean, you have abandonment rates on tenancy forms because consumers have anxiety. They'll have no way to process that anxiety, to have somebody help them, so they just leave, right? And now what the AI is great at is it's as if there is a trusted confidant at your shoulder helping you fill out your form.
Correct.
And so you're filling something out like, what is this thing? Why do we have to provide this? You can literally say that on our AI.
And it tells you.
It tells you.
It's not inefficient like a human, essentially, right? Like, so, and like you said, the abandonment piece, a lot of the reason for abandonment is the 1003, which is the mortgage application. It's requiring so much information, and you're nervous, you're excited, you want to buy the house, but a lot of people have self-doubt and don't believe that, I'm not going to be able to do this, right? Yeah. And so you're asking these questions, and they're nervous. They don't know what to ask. They're afraid to be judged. They think their FICO score is too low. You'd be surprised how many people with a 680 think that's a bad credit score, and it's not. Yeah. That's very qualifiable. And they have this insecurity, and they stop because they're afraid of denial or rejection, which a lot of people are. It's part of being human. It's part of our feelings and our self-consciousness, right? Well, with the AI, it's literally telling you, as you're going through the questions, exactly why you're filling out those questions, so that you understand, hey, you're not filling these out because we want to deny you. You're filling these out so that we can help you and put you in the best product and structure the loan the best for your individual credit profile, right? And I don't know if people understand that, like us as mortgage advisors, and the reason I say advisors, this is the biggest financial transaction of most people's lives. We're the financial piece behind it. We're the ones, as an executive mortgage advisor, that needs to help people get into those homes because we believe in homeownership. We need to treat them as if we aren't a financial advisor, but as if we were a financial advisor, and this is a huge financial transaction. Right. And whether it's a primary residence, second home investment property, it is a wealth building tool as well. One of the things that we saw was at 65, somebody who owns a home versus who doesn't has 70% higher net worth than the person who doesn't own a home here in America. And I was just like, okay, well, then we need to start treating that transaction as the biggest wealth building tool, whether it's primary, and that's where we came up with the mortgage advisor piece, because this industry is so transactional, and you see it with Rocket buying Redfin. They're buying top of the funnel. That's transactional. We need to be more than transactional as loan officers. We need to make it so, as an executive mortgage advisor, more than 19% of our clients return to us for a refinance. And part of the way we do that is we make them comfortable with the process. And then the long-term vision as well, which we can dive into here in a little bit, is, to make it seamless. Why does a self-employed person have to upload 180 documents? Exactly. That's brutal. And we're already working on it. And one of my favorite things about the technology is, and we saw it yesterday and we rolled it out to the team and let them see it, is the fact that you no longer need to fill out a mortgage application. We'll just ask you questions, and we'll pull that information to a mortgage application. You'll confirm it, and now, boom, done. Correct. And it's so simple, so easy. Yeah. And if you're like, why do you need my social security number? It's explained to you in detail, the facts behind why you need it. Right. You get somebody who's newer as a loan officer, and they say, why do you need the social security number? They may not know. They may need to go ask somebody. It takes some time. There's a delay. There's a lag. That could cause abandonment of the application. That could cause somebody not getting a home. Right. We eliminated that.
Absolutely. And I think just, some other what ifs, like the customers have, there are a lot of different configurations. There are different choices they have. And the AI can tell them that, hey, just so you know, if you have another 10,000, so one, we might know already from having access with consent to your bank record that you have an extra $10,000. So the AI can say, by the way, if you were comfortable putting another 10,000 down, your monthly payment would go down by this much, and you'd qualify for this other kind of product. Correct. So that's the kind of thing that AI can be doing constantly about, like, for all the products that are out there, what's best for the customer. Right. And it doesn't require an executive mortgage advisor every time to do that, because the AI is right there doing it for the customer.
There's no delay for the.
There's no delay.
There's no delay, and then the other piece, like you mentioned, okay, well, it'll also compare, and this is one of the things we do for our consumer all the time is, should you put the $10,000 as a down payment, or should you use the $10,000 for an interest rate buyout? Like what buy down, right? Yeah. So you buy the interest rate down by $10,000. How much per month are you saving versus $10,000 towards a down payment, which is financed out over 30 years? Yeah. It's much better to buy the rate down. So like that strategy piece, and then you jump into, self-employed, higher net worth. You jump into the investor. Like we can literally create comprehensive real estate plans that are customized to help you build wealth through real estate based on what your property goals are. Mm-hmm. We're doing those manually. Well, we're going to have AI doing that, right? And helping us with that. Obviously, there's us overseeing it, and making sure we're moving in the right direction. And we're still communicating on a human basis, but the AI is just making the job much more efficient. Yeah. So the experience overall for the consumer is much, much better, and we can get more people into the home.
Absolutely. And I think what goes with that is, part of what that does is, again, take a lot of administrative tasks, repetitive tasks off of mortgage advisors' plates, so they can focus more on, market development, customer development, and actually, frankly, the more enjoyable stuff, like the more high value, like actually help a customer out. And having like a constant, so the AI isn't just to help the consumer; it's also to help the mortgage advisor.
Correct.
Right, make their jobs easier. So they, for the same amount of time they're investing, they can do many more transactions in a given month than they would do if they did everything themselves.
Absolutely, and the educational piece that we're, and Sergio will be on here in a minute, but. The educational piece that we're putting together just for the onboarding, so that we can teach, our executive mortgage advisors, here's this product, this is what it means, this is why it's beneficial, right? And that educational piece is there. Just the overall efficiency piece, we wanted to take all the admin work off, which was the whole concept behind this. This helps us get there faster. And I think the misconception, we'll let Sergio speak to this a little bit, is that AI is going to replace humans, and it's just not. We're years and years and years and years away from that. Like Serge's example of self-driving cars, like we don't have them yet. And that's the same thing with AI. We're not close. But with that being said, to the mortgage advisor, we're actively expanding territory by territory. We're going to be in 50 states. The goal is within 12 months. And we have our expansion strategy. And we're rolling out, we're going to have some real estate brokers who are our betas that are testing our app and giving us feedback on it, so that we can make sure that we have the best feedback, and our tech team is doing what they need to do to make the partner portal for the real estate agent, to make the insurance portal for the insurance agent, to make the for people who are in snowy areas. We're going to have snowplow services. It'll be one place to go for every consumer that's on it that can go ahead and say, okay, it snowed 12 inches, I need a snowplow, and then it'll pop up, and they'll be able to have the reviews of the different companies that will come and plow your driveway, so on. And that's just, think of every homeownership, from home renovation to plumbing to, HVAC and we're building that out over time and bringing that marketplace to the consumer. But from a loan officer perspective, you're now the center of that universe, and you're going to be able to communicate with the homeowner throughout the life of the transaction, and you're going to have this assist from our artificial intelligence saying, hey, they can drop PMI. Why haven't you reached out and touched them? That's such a manual process. And that's probably why right now the return rate is less than 20%, right? Because of how manual the process is. So
I think that's kind of the other thing, is it's like a whole ecosystem of home ownership services, and with the executive mortgage advisor being kind of the center of that management process, right? And a lot of what the technology is basically set up to do is everything one button, meaning, let's say if a customer is getting to a point where they're ready to refinance a home, or they want to take home equity out. Even before the customer realizes they have a product, the AI can reach out and say, by the way, home equity has reached, like, let's say $200,000, you can draw something out, and reach out to your friendly executive mortgage advisor. Right. So I think there's more that engagement that the AI is doing for you. So the mortgage advisor is just like picking up warm leads, or like customers already like motivated, has intent to do something. And then if the other thing is the mortgage advisor, let's say they want to connect with a real estate agent about the real estate side of the transaction, or even like a title company or inspection, etc. All of that can come to them through the system, through the app, to the website. So they don't have to call on people. They don't have to text people.
Right.
It's like almost like central repository of all the data.
Right.
So all they have to do is say, oh, here's the status of each of my current loans in progress, transactions in progress. Here's the update from the inspection. Here's the appraisal. Like all of that in one place, which is where a lot of time gets spent right now, bouncing between system to system,
Right.
collecting that information, bringing it all together.
Well, and the great part too is as we develop the technology more and we create the partner portals and such, there'll be, our partner who, if they refer us business or if they get a referral from us, yes, real estate agents, you heard that right. We are now going to be referring business to you, so we won't just be calling for your business, but they'll be able to see. I call it the Domino's Pizza app. This is where we are. This is what we need.
Right.
Like we're waiting on this. Oh, the delivery's on the way. Or Uber Eats, as the young kids are now using. Right. So you'll be able to see step by step where we're at in the process, what is needed. So there's never going to be a lack of information or a lack of communication, because that's a big thing between executive mortgage advisors or loan officers, as a lot of people refer to them as, and real estate agents. The number one piece of information I get from a real estate agent is they wanted different types of communication. Well, it's very hard at times because some people want to only be told when things are going wrong. Some people want to be told every single second of the process multiple times a day. Some people want updates weekly, right? So everybody has great communication. That definition is different to each individual, right? So it makes it hard to provide a even level of service to everybody. Well, if you can just log on to the app and you can see, okay, here's where this person is. This is when these docs were requested. This is what's needed. Now, for compliance and stuff, they won't be able to see the actual documents, but they'll know what's needed, when the communication happened, when it was requested. Complete transparency.
Correct.
Transparency in the marketplace is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the real estate agent's going to love that. The insurance agent's going to love that. The title, closing attorneys, title companies, they're going to love that because they're going to be able to schedule, plan, and be more efficient themselves. But this is for us, we've always tried to lead the broker channel in technology, which is why we were making a deal with Candor in 2022 about, hey, we want to do X, Y, and Z. No, we're not a big lender. We don't need this piece. We need this piece. And they did a great job of working with us. Now we're at the point to where it's like, okay, well, how do we lead the entire industry? And what is the industry? Is it mortgage? No, it's not mortgage. Is it real estate? Nope. Is it, plumbing, HVAC? No, that all goes into one industry, which is homeownership. And we want to redefine what homeownership is, what it means, and how we get the home. And, our ultimate goal is same day clear to close. And we'll get there. 6 months. No, we'll see. But we'll get there. And our tech team's great. And the team, I tell everybody, just so that, you're like Samuel L. Jackson from the Avengers. You brought a bunch of very talented people together from different sectors of this industry. And now we're working together as one team. And I'm very excited to see it come to fruition. And y'all flew into Charlotte. Now that you've been here a couple of times to meet with us, and now the whole team is here, and we're going through like what's next, and we have some cool stuff rolling out this summer. So to our real estate agents, be prepared because we have some really cool stuff that you're going to love coming your way.
I think, again, very exciting to bring all of this together, Nick. And I think we have enormous opportunity, for the whole ecosystem. Like this is a real win-win situation for everybody who works with us. And, part of the thing is the whole, way we're bringing together these different fragmented pieces into one unified offering to be customer-centric. That's really what's been missing. And we're using technology in the right ways. We're not encumbered by, this is how it's always been, or this is how, we can actually make it better for consumers and for service providers. And that's the opportunity before us. And part of the just to kind of put closure on the AI side of this is it's not just AI that just has a conversation. It can actually do tasks.
Correct.
So agentic AI is basically the kind of AI where it can actually execute tasks, it can send documents, it can review documents, it can say you can sign here. So the ultimate the opportunity here is to reduce friction dramatically for everybody.
Correct.
And you can interface with this through text. You can even through audio. You can just be talking to this AI. It's like you're talking to the person, and they're providing all the help you need.
Right.
So all of that put together basically makes it a dramatically lower friction for everybody that's working with us, and also make it a lot more enjoyable. Right. It's a much better way to interface in this otherwise very complicated industry than how the industry works today. That's the opportunity for anybody who wants to work with us.
Right. And I tell people, especially if we have 14 loan officers right now. We're going to be at 30 by the end of July. that is not a big number, especially with the growth plans to go to 50 states, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the opportunity here from a mortgage advisor, loan officer standpoint, so if you're a loan officer at another company and you're working off Excel sheets still to track your clients, you're gonna lose. Like you might not be losing now, you may be a top producer right now, but at some point in the near future, you're not going to be able to keep up with the people who are utilizing technology. If you come here and you want to be the number one producer in the company, in the country, our company is going to be the roadmap to do that because of what the value of, first and foremost, just the fact that you don't have to do income calculations, right? And collect documents and issue pre-approvals. Like, you're not doing that. Somebody's doing that for you starting day one. The other piece is the technology is going to lead the industry and create efficiencies. And you're going to know, hey, I need to follow up with this person. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And it's going to increase your production. This opportunity doesn't come along, and I said this to the entire team. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some people. Most people never get it, right? Because when you lead from a technology standpoint and a consumer service standpoint, that's how you win market share. The biggest mortgage company in the country has 5.9% market share. I want 70% of market share. So from a loan officer perspective, think about that. Think about the growth opportunity. Think about the fact that there's no ceiling here. Think about how the compensation package is better than anywhere else. Why aren't you here? Right? So when I call you, because I'm personally recruiting you, pick up the phone, because I'm going to tell you about an opportunity that you don't want to miss. And if you're producing, we understand guarantees and we can have that conversation. But what I'm going to pitch to you more than anything is, do you want to be the best at what you do? Do you want to get into leadership? Do you want to have an opportunity to be chief sales officer of an entire mortgage division? Do you want to have an opportunity to move out of just the mortgage division into overall Finaya leadership? There's the opportunity there, because as we grow, there's growth potential. If you want to be just a producer, we'll give you the best resources to be the number one producer in the world. And I say world because we're not staying, we're homeownership for the world.
That's right.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of why this is a perfect time for folks to join us. I mean, we're very much in expansion mode. We're looking to go, like you said, Nick, nationwide. The market's wide open. The advantages that we're already seeing in the market are only going to keep magnifying. So anybody who kind of joins us for the ride is looking at a huge lift, huge advantage in the market. And that's with all our technology, all our support, all our machine behind them.
Right.
And that's an opportunity that makes it once in a lifetime kind of opportunity.
Agreed. Well, Ren, we appreciate it. I'm looking forward to building the best
absolutely.
homeownership company in the world.
Yes.
And I think they want to hear from Serge now. So
yes.
do you mind sending them in?
Yeah,
for
let me
us?
go get Serge over.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
All right.